Hello there. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Knocks to Nuggets. My name is Oluwayomi Ute, and it's such a joy to come your way this beautiful morning. Thank God for the gift of life. Thank God that we are able to come together one more time. A big thank you to everyone that's joining me live. I don't take it for granted. Thank you. Thank you so much for always being there. And for those that will watch thereafter, I say a big thank you. Thank you for giving me a share of your time. And like I will always ask, please like the video, share it, let someone out there know that there is something called Knocks to Nugget. And please, if you are yet to subscribe, hit my YouTube channel and just subscribe. Definitely the contents there will add value to you. So we've been on this series for quite a while, building a legacy. And we have looked at various ways of building legacies. One of the routes to wealth I talked about was intellectual property. And when I spoke about that, the question that hit at me was, in this time and season, where is intellectual property still a route to wealth with all the copyright violations going on around? You make a video today, tomorrow it's all over the place. Kids, the same thing. Books, the same thing. Music, the same thing, maybe even worse. So can you still rely on intellectual property as a route to wealth? To answer that question this morning, I have with me in the house an intellectual property expert with over 10 years of experience in the field. She was called to the Nigerian bar in 2007, and she holds a master's degree from Swansea University, Wales, United Kingdom. And she's an alumni of the United States of America International Visitors Leadership Program on protection of intellectual property rights. She's a chartered secretary with the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators, ICSA UK, and she has a certificate in Copyright X from the Beckman Klein Center of Harvard Law School. She started her career in the legal department of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, and upon her return from her master's program, she joined the firm of Kenahe and Associates before joining the IP department of Aluko and Oyebode in 2012 until January 2020. She headed the IP and technology team of TNP from March 2020 to January 2021, and now focuses on building her boutique IP firm. And Nta, I was going to call her NTA. Nta is passionate about career development and gaining expertise in specific fields of law, and she mentors a number of young lawyers. She was recently elected as the secretary of the Nigerian Bar Association NBA Lagos branch, which is the largest branch of NBA with over 7,000 members. And she's the first female secretary in over 20 years. She's a fellow of the Nigerian Leadership Institute, NLI, and she enjoys traveling and volunteering in capacity building projects. Ladies and gentlemen, you are sure that we have the right person to talk to us about this huge topic. Receive with me on the Knocks to Nugget platform, Nta Ekpiken. Hey, good to have you in the house.
Good to be here. Good to be here, Yomi. Thank you very much for this platform. So can I go straight on with it?
Yes, I need you to go straight on so that we can maximize your time. I know you have so much to do today. This copyright thing and intellectual property, let's just talk about it.
Okay, so I'll just dive straight into it. So in Nigeria, when we talk about intellectual property protection, it is the protection of the things that are the product of your mind, right? So they are, legally speaking, the law has just 3 ways that it protects your intellectual property. And those 3 ways are divided into the kind of intellectual property rights that you can hold in Nigeria that are protected. The first are trademarks. The second, patents and designs. The third, copyrights. We're going to focus on copyrights, but before then, I'm just going to just do a quick review of patents and designs and trademarks, so that that way everyone just has a bit of clarity on what it is. So trademarks are your logos, your name, those sort of things, and they are protected once you register it as a trademark. That's why you see some places you see R beside
Name.
a name. Yeah,
Mhm.
so those are trademarks, and you can own trademarks in perpetuity. So once you've registered the marks, that's why you have a company like Coca-Cola. They just sell sugar and water, but then they have lots of marks, and their intellectual property that they hold, and that has made them the company that they are today. So you can register anything, but it just has to be distinctive. You cannot register Apple for fruits, so it has to be something that is different. So that's why Apple is registered for computer products. It's not registered for fruits. So those sort of things that make it unique, because no one person would be able to own Apple for fruits, that kind of thing, because it therefore means that you stop other people from owning it. So
Mhm.
that's how trademarks work. I can have my name as a trademark. David Beckham has registered his name as a trademark. The Kardashians have done so for their different stuff. So that's basically how trademarks work. So once you register it, you can renew it every after the first registration, 7 years, and after that every 14 years, and you can own it in perpetuity for as long as you renew. That's how trademarks work. It is very interesting. It's one of the things that we do as intellectual property lawyers. It's a very things that we do every day, just protecting marks, infringement, making sure that no one infringes you, and just generally defending and enforcing your marks. So that's the first one, very easy. Then the second one is patent and designs. So patents are for inventions, right? So the first ever vacuum cleaner was patented. It was Dyson, in those days. So you have patent rights, and you have them for just 20 years, because it's a right that stops other people from making that technology without your approval. So the law says you can only own those rights for 20 years. So within those 20 years, you are given the ability to um, use the right, make money out of it, because once after 20 years it goes into the public domain. That's why you're going to you now have other people taking on that technology and using it. So that's how patents work. It's the same thing for industrial design. So industrial design protects the get-up of your product. So like I said, patents are for inventions. It has to be a physical product. You can't patent an idea. You can only patent a physical object, as so for industrial designs is for the get up of your product. So take, for instance, Coca-Cola bottle is protected as an industrial design. So you can't just go and take that design and put it on your product. It is protected. So so industrial designs is to help protect the aesthetic features of your products. If you have a unique bottle, if you have a unique anything, industrial designs help you protect that the get up of your product. Then we now come to copyrights, which is going to be the focus of what we're going to be talking about today.
Sorry,
Copyright.
before you go to copyright, let's just take this question off the floor. It says, does that now mean like nobody can use David Beckham again, or is it just for their product? So if I trademark my name Oluwayomi Ute, that means nobody can bear that name again, or you can bear Oluwayomi Ute, but you cannot have products in that line. What exactly?
Yes. Yes, you can't have products in that line, because they only give it to people in most jurisdictions. They only give it to people that are well known. So you can't now come and take that name and put it on a product. You can bear the name if that's your name, that's fine, but you can't use that name for a business.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
Okay.
select.
So we now quickly go on to copyrights. So copyrights, which is the very interesting part of intellectual property, the ones that is now it's at the forefront of everything right now, for artists, for creatives, for everybody that actually has has a creative side. This is the intellectual property that is attached to those sort of creativity. So first of all, we have literary works, we have cinematography and film, we have sound recording, we have broadcast. So under literary works, you have artwork, you have music, you have plays, you have all of those things. Those are literary works. And so the law says that this is what we need to really, really, really understand. Once you have created anything that is eligible for copyright protection, it attaches immediately. Immediately. You don't need any registration, you don't need you don't need to do anything. Once you have created something, copyright attaches to it immediately. But what we must understand is that for trademarks and all the other rights, originality is very important. But in
Mm.
copyright, originality means that I sat by myself and I came up with something. I didn't copy from you, I didn't copy from some other person. Because two people individually can just be sitting down and come up with the same thing, right? So copyrights will attach to them immediately. But it's only when we find out where infringement now occurs is where I have come up with this thing independently and I put it out there. Somebody now sees it and decides to make, something out of it. You have infringed because it is not original anymore. But if you had sat on your own without looking at mine or without coming across mine, and you had come up with yours, that's how copyright works. Originality is not that I was the first person to do it. Originality for copyright means I did it independently of looking at yours. That's what
Wow.
originality means. Yes, that's what originality means. And so, what NCC, the Nigerian Copyright Commission, has now done is, and for us, as lawyers, what we typically see and which has become common is it was during the technology age, because computer softwares are protected as copyrights, right? They're not protected as patents or designs or trademarks. They're protected as copyright. So it used to be, when imagine that you want to take your technology to an investor and you want to say, oh yes, I created this thing, because it is actually, it's just in the air, you can't see it, it's somewhere. So copyright, the Nigerian Copyright Commission has said, okay, we have a system of depository where once you have created something that is eligible for copyright, you can just come and deposit with us and tell us this is what you've done, and then we give you a certificate. That certificate does not confer copyright. It's just a depository. So that when you go to your investor, you can say, this is the evidence of it. A computer software, if it's in the box, it's just there, but you don't see the codes and all of that. But that certificate will be like a certificate that shows that you have done this thing. It does not confer copyright. It's just something you can present to say, I have a copyright for this thing that we really can't see. I have a copyright for this play, I have copyrights for this music. That's what the Nigerian Copyright Commission has done. It's really easy, it's very cheap. Filing fees are as low as 6,000 naira. You can just so yes, we are all agents. You just give an agent, you can also go yourself, deposit it and just have that tucked away, and you can have it in perpetuity. Copyright is okay, so there are different terms for copyright. For literary works, it is your lifetime and 70 years after. So you did this music, you did this computer software and all of those things. So it's your lifetime as long as you're alive. And then it's for 70 years after. There are different years that are attached to the different copyright protection. So for broadcasting is about 50 years, for cinematography about 50 years. That's your lifetime, because it always has to be in your lifetime. And then a couple of 50 or 70 years afterwards, depending on which of the rights that you have. So it now goes to the tricky part. The tricky part is the fact that copyright is something that is very fluid. With the technology age now, if you put something online, it will move in the speed of lightning. So how do you
Exactly.
protect yourself? Uh, okay, so someone is asking. I'll just keep going, and then we can pop up those
Yeah.
questions afterwards. So it goes in the speed of light, right? And that's where it is the responsibility of the right holder to look out for infringement. The law is not going to, yeah, the laws are there, but it is your responsibility as a right holder to see that your right is not infringed. Because if once you put something out there and there's really nowhere, the internet is fast, everything moves. You have to, once you see that happening, it is your responsibility to, police your rights and ensure that it is enforced, and ensure that somebody's not using your rights without your permission. And another thing
Wow.
that always happens is this. So for me, I always tell my clients that before you put anything out there, do the necessary, package it very well, know what it is. At some point, having your at the back of your mind what you're intending to achieve, and put some things in place before you put it out there, right?
Mm.
So take for instance, for somebody who has written a book, you have gone to the publisher, and maybe you have said, okay, I'm selling my rights, or it's going to be partly. So you tell the publisher, all right, publish it. By the time, okay, so of course, it usually goes that the publishing house pays you something for publishing first.
Yeah.
Then afterwards, you can put things in place, like, okay, after you, if we're able to have 100,000 downloads or 100,000 sales, after that I start to have revenue too. Because once you give up, just give it away in blankets, then you're not going to get anything. That's why before you get into these deals, which is why I'm saying that before you put anything out there, you have to sit down with whoever and decide what it is that you want to achieve. Decide what it is that you are hoping to get back from this thing, because what if people don't like it? You gain nothing. So it's really sometimes really a gamble. So you have to sit down and decide what it is you want to do and what it is you want to achieve before you go out there, before you
Mm.
publish, before you broadcast, before so it is very, very important. That's what I tell my clients. And that's why so before this time out, before the this age that we are in right now, where everybody, where they are specialists in different careers, in different fields. I was fortunate enough to go to a specialized law firm where that's all I do. Now you have specialized lawyers, so you can find a specialized lawyer that knows what it is, and to actually really advise you. And it's not really that expensive. So I had a client who just does who is artistic. He does video recordings and all of those things. So he makes sure that all his contracts are put together before he signs with anybody. Because sorry, I forgot to mention that for copyright, you can't transfer copyrights by word of mouth. No, it has to be in writing. I can't just tell you today, oh, I'm giving you the copyright to this thing. No, I haven't given you anything. So it has to be in writing. And you can put anything. It's really your responsibility to decide what you want to give out and how you want to give it out. It's all in the fine print. So it has to be in writing. And that's why it is necessary for you to get a lawyer who knows the wordings and what you need to put. Am I giving you all of the rights? Am I retaining some rights to myself? Is it an exclusive right? Is it a right that I can share with, I can give out to so many other people? All of that has to be in the contract. If not so, you haven't really done anything. You haven't done yourself a service. You haven't done the world a service. So you have to at some point. And also, even in the agreement, you can give room to review afterwards. You can say, okay, after 10 years, and after this some milestones have been reached, we have to come back to the table and renegotiate again. After the 100 download, I want to start making money. All of these things can go into the agreement. That's why you need an agreement. And it doesn't really have to be too detailed. We're too lazy. We don't want to read too much. It doesn't have to be more than a 2 or 3 page contract. But as long as it is done in writing, and the person who has the rights is the person contracting, you are fine. You are totally fine. So I think I can stop here now. I think those are all the basics. Uh,
Yes. Somebody, you almost answered this. So, what happens to all the Niger musical artists that are making claims of a statement that went viral, and nobody has a certificate of copyright for it?
You don't have a right to a statement. My God. It's like when somebody was trying to sue somebody for the name of a book. There's no protection for that. Those sort of
Wait,
things.
wait.
There's none.
So, sorry. Let me come again. Let me take you again. So that means if I have a book titled
Hmm.
Knocks to Nuggets, somebody else
Hmm.
can write it and title it Knocks to Nuggets as well.
Yeah, you can. It's the content that is protected, not the title.
Hello.
So, but what you could do, this is what you could do, right? If your own has become so um you can trademark it, but even
Popular.
at trademarking the name, yes, you can trademark and own it. And if yours is really 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 popular, you can it depends on your argument, and it's really that's where the court system comes in. You can get the other person to stop to change the name of their
Of their book.
um yeah. So
Mm.
I've seen a question now that's have IP laws evolved with the changing digital dynamics? Yes, we're still trying to play catch up. So the new Copyright Act that I believe has been signed into law, one of the things that it focuses on was technology. Technology in the sense of that. So if you go to the UK, at least I know I've had that experience. You just can't go online and get to a website and watch. So let's even say popular show right now, House of Dragons. You can't do that. Your internet service provider is going to stop you from going to those sites, right? It's going to stop you from going to those sites. So that's what the new law is seeking to do, to ensure that to put the obligation on the internet service provider, on the ISPs, to stop people
Wow.
from going to different sites. Like I know that in India you can't, in some countries you can't go to some sites, without the authorization. Your internet service provider has already blocked it, because if anybody goes onto that site without paying for those are paid services. So take for instance, if I had a music publishing service, you shouldn't be able to go onto it without paying me. You put in your details, you pay for it, and yeah, you're free to view. But you're not going to have technology to circumvent your technology, so to speak. So that's what the new law, the amendment of the act, at least as at when it was still in the bill stage, that's what we saw. So we haven't, I think the president has just assented to it, but it hasn't come down yet for us to do all the reviews and see that this is what it is right now. And I think within the next couple of weeks, that should have we'll be able to see the law and see that, because that's what we hope to achieve, that you shouldn't just be able to go onto any site and just view things, without authorization. So, which is why I said that before you publish something, you sit down and you decide what it is you want to achieve. Do I want to have people sign on and pay me before they are able to download my music, before they are able to, those sort of things. You have to sit down and decide first before you go live, so
Hmm.
to speak.
Wow, that's interesting. Decide before you go live. Okay, so this question is quite interesting. It says, where does a program like Knox to Nuggets fall into? Is it copyright or is it trademark?
Yes, it's copyright. It's copyright. So first of all, you can also trademark the name, right?
Yeah.
You can
Mm-hmm.
trademark the name so that nobody uses that name for the same sort of thing, right? And then for copyright, what happens is, now that you've aired this, nobody can now take this can now use this production without your permission and without your authorization. So take for instance, you wanted to go and somebody wanted to also take what I have said now to put together. You just put it on the sites where, before you're able to use this documentation, maybe you either pay me something, or you have to get my rights, or who owns the rights before
Correct.
the person. Even so, and sometimes even if you don't have that in place, but you'll be vigilant enough to see that if somebody is using the clip without your authorization, you can ask for a takedown and say, no,
Hmm.
you don't, I didn't give you any rights to do this, so you need to take it down.
Hmm. That's interesting. So, what about website names? That's a question here. What about website names that can only be used by one organization?
Yeah, so websites name. So there's a whole domain. Okay, so in Nigeria, there's NIRA. that protects
Mhm.
your website names. In other countries, there are other international bodies. No one person can own it. Like I had to go and pay for my own name. If not so, people just go on the internet, buy those names and keep, and wait
Yeah,
till whenever you come. And
yeah.
you can't, yeah, there are systems, there are whole systems to stop that from happening. Yes,
Mm.
there are whole systems. That's a whole topic on its own.
But you said something. You said talking about originality. You
Mhm.
said, how do I prove that I decided to do this without looking at what you have done? So I can feign ignorance. I can say, no, Nta, who is so called? I don't know who Nta is. I've never heard of her before. Meanwhile, I saw it behind the scene and I'm denying it.
Exactly. So which is what happens, and nobody can if your thing is really out there, you have done it. Nobody can fake ignorance that they didn't know that you were the one that has done this thing. No, you can't. The people that know that they have done, they have put in considerable effort, and they did it independent of looking at yours. They can always tell. The courts know how to show these things. But if I put my own out there, it's all everywhere, and then you now come and claim that you did not see my own, you're telling lies. Yeah,
Hmm.
no, we can always tell by the time we go into the dispute process. By the time we go into the dispute process, we can always tell. It's always very easy to tell.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
so
interesting. It says, going back to the title of works, what if it's made up of name, completely original? Can it then be protected?
yes, you protect it as a trademark. And like
And-
I said at the beginning about, yeah, when I was talking about trademarks, the names that are mostly always accepted are names that are invented. You make it up, you make it original. You're not just picking up anything from the corner side and just slapping it on your work. But if originality and distinctive, it has to be distinctive. It just has to be catchy. Then you can protect it for yourself and own it exclusively.
hmm.
You can. Yeah.
So you said something about number of years. So literally it's about your lifetime plus 70 years.
70 years. Yes.
We're talking about building legacy here, where your children's children's children should enjoy the good works you have done.
Mm.
So after 70 years, that's like the next generation after you.
Yeah,
But
you
yeah, so can it be renewed by your estate? Can it be okay? So for instance, Michael Jackson, after 70 years, do you mean anybody can sing his songs and life goes on?
yes. Yes, it goes into the public domain. Yeah.
So there's
It goes
no way to extend that 70 years and say, we are the estate of Oluwayomi Ute. After she
mm-mm.
has lived 100 years and 70 years have passed, we want to keep Knox Nuggets in the family and we are the estate.
No, there's no way, because society imagines that the laws imagine that in those your lifetime and then the 70 years you should have made money. You should have, right? So we want the world to enjoy from your creativity. So no, there's no. In
Hmm.
fact, it's even worse with patents. For patents today, once you've created them for 20 years, if you do not make your money in those 20 years, forget it. It goes into the public domain and that's it. So
Hmm.
you have to find a way to make your money. And in 70 years, your lifetime in 70 years is enough for you to make money from anything that you've created.
Hmm.
So yeah.
It's
No.
lifetime plus 70 years or 50 years, but the law is saying after that, let other people enjoy it. So that explains
Exactly.
there are some books that have been written by authors of 18 something that have long dead that I see everywhere, and I'm wondering, is this not a copyright infringement?
No.
Why are they not pulling this down? Oh, it's not in
Just
the public domain.
it's not in the public domain. There are people who sit, who in advanced countries, they sit on those archives to see once it becomes public. Oh, they're excited. It is now free to air. You can use the products without, all of those things.
So
Yeah,
can
it's just what the law says. Can you still enjoy the royalties? No. So once it goes into the public domain, it's done. Copyrights, it's now public, so there's nothing to enjoy. So, but for take for instance for music, you know that if you are they are collecting societies who collect on behalf of people. They also have that depositories to say, okay, this one is time is up, we take it out, it's in the public domain, anybody can use it. But other than that, they always collect royalties, and they are very, that's why people use collecting societies. They are very vigilant, very, very vigilant. That's the work that you give to them to ensure, because at the end, because I said that it is the right of, it is the responsibility of the right holder to enforce. The law is not going to, the law will help you because it has, those laws in place, but it is you that will look out to see, oh, there's infringement here, there's infringement here, I didn't give this person right. But that's what the collecting society does for you. It takes that responsibility away from you. That's why they make a lot of money. But you guys come into an arrangement where, okay, I'll give you this, I'll give you that. That's how it works. There's a lot of money to be made. Yeah, that's how it works.
Oh, so that's what they're saying. If the lifetime trademark of 70 years, the person's estate cannot enjoy the legacy again.
No,
Okay,
no, 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 no. So for trademarks, it's in perpetuity. There's no stopping to trademarks. No,
oh,
it's copyright. It's copyright, it's patents. Patents is 20 years, copyright is lifetime and 70 years. But for
mm,
trademarks, as long as I continue to renew, that's why Coca-Cola is so rich, because it is in perpetuity. As long as they renew every 14 years, they
mm,
keep renewing. You can renew the mark, you own it.
mm.
McDonald's in perpetuity, as long as they go and pay those renewal fees, in perpetuity, they keep owning it. That's why you have over 100-year companies, because you can own it for as long
In
as you want. That's for
perpetuity.
trademarks.
So
Yeah.
trademark perpetuity, but
Yes.
um copyright the length of years plus something else. Now let's
Yes.
before just before I take your final closing, let me take this last question. It says, how do people then buy web names for keeps until they get the web? That happens a lot. How does that really
Yes, it
happen?
does. It does. So there's the like I said, it's a whole, we'll have to do a whole another show for domain names. It can't be covered here.
Mm.
So there's a whole system. Yes, and there's also dispute resolution for those systems. People who just go and buy. So trust me, someone like Coca-Cola has bought Coca-Cola.com, .net, they've bought it all up and they've kept, because people will go buy it and keep. And then there's a whole system to get your names back. Oh, that's a whole a total
Okay, so we'll come to domain names next week, Monday, when we continue this conversation. So we'll do domain names next week, Monday. So for
no
now
problem.
that we are pause on this, let me take your semi-final words, because next week, Monday, I'll take your final words.
Okay, so for this, what I'll say is, as a right, I know that creatives are very, they're very passionate about their work. They just want people to listen to their work. No, pause before you go out there. Pause and decide what it is you want to do. And you need to be knowledgeable about what it is you're doing. My God, as an artist, you need to be knowledgeable about intellectual property. You need to be, because it is your responsibility to derive the pleasure, or make the money from it. So you just can't go around in ignorance. No, you need to know your stuff. It's very important. Those are my last words. And finding an intellectual property lawyer, somebody to help you, it's not that expensive. Just keep at it. Somebody will know somebody that knows somebody. How did we meet? Somebody knows somebody that knows somebody, and then you have a conversation with the lawyer and find out whether you can actually, this person understands your business, and then you take it on from there. So it is your responsibility. You have to be vigilant. Those are my final words, as in semi-final words.
Semi-final words. Thank you very much, Nta. We are coming back next week, Monday. You're going to have a lot of my questions to answer, and we'll talk about
Okay.
domain names too next week, Monday. Thank you so much for being on this call this morning.
Yes, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Yes, you want her back, and yes, she's back next week, Monday. And that's so much to chew from. So, for a lot of us, before you put your work out there, ask yourself the question, what do I want to achieve? Yes, you are not popular now. Yes, nobody knows you now, but you're not planning to die small. You're not planning to play small all your life. So plan for the future. Remember, if you can think it, you can be it, you can have it, and together we win all the time. Let somebody out there know that there's something called Knocks to Nuggets on air, where they can get so much information. Till next week, Monday, still with Inter. God bless you. Have a fruitful week. Bye for now.